What is up, everybody, and welcome to another webinar Wednesday, September now. I cannot believe it's September already. Craziness, but I got Mr. Zion Williamson Mr. Ronnie Reed joining me today. So
Wow.
here we go. He's breaking out the Zion look and stuff, going for it. So anyway, Ronnie, how's it going, man? Before we jump into today.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. We're ready to talk about some wholesaling things that are going on in just our community and stuff that everyone's adjusting to, and how to convert things. So I'm just really excited to dig deep into that. But I'm doing well, man. God is good, and weather's still nice.
No, yeah, that's good. We'll take it. So, and it's not, I don't know, it's pretty muggy, but I don't know, it's better than being 90 degrees, I guess. So
right.
We'll take it. But so anyway, Ronnie and I yesterday, we led a call with one of the masterminds we're a part of. So we led a call yesterday because a lot of people in the group are kind of struggling with one thing. And we thought like, hey, this is something we can kind of go ahead and do a webinar Wednesday on as well, especially since we talked about this yesterday. But anyway, so a lot of people are having that issue of, it seems like their leads are doing pretty well. They have a lot of leads coming in, but the conversions are a little bit low on the back end. So I want to talk a little bit today just about like why that is, some things that we're doing to help out with that, and just kind of brainstorm around that a little bit. So I first want to take that first thing of like why leads. A lot of people are saying that leads are coming in and leads are pretty good. Leads are good because the market's hot. People know they can sell their property. Also, we're getting into an area where people know they're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So the foreclosures are going to be coming up, the forbearances are going to be coming up, evictions. I know in Indiana right now, evictions are kind of in a weird stage, but nationally, some people can evict now, some people can't. So that's a little funky as well. But landlords are looking to get rid of their properties because they don't know what's going on, or some tenants can't pay, those types of things. So we're in a time where, because of all this stuff that's going on, leads are high. They need to get out of their property. They're in housing situations or money situations that they need to get out of. And they also know that the market is super hot. So they are able to know they're going to be able to get top dollar or close to top dollar for their property. So Ronnie, let's just kind of dig into that first part of that of like why leads are up a little bit. So when we're even looking at our leads that we have coming in, the number of qualified leads that are even coming in, like the numbers are up. Like we haven't had it. That's not the issue really. So what are you guys seeing on that acquisition side, just within our team, of the number of leads that are coming in? And for us, when we're talking about leads coming in, so we have referrals, we have leads coming in from TV commercial, we got direct mail, texting, cold calling, PPC, Facebook stuff and stuff like that. So when you guys on that acquisition side see those leads coming in and stuff, what have you noticed about the number of leads versus, kind of back in the beginning of this COVID stuff and things, of how that number has increased?
Yeah, no, definitely. I would say that, the interest to sell homes have increased dramatically. Like Brian mentioned before, there are people in different situations because, they have a house problem or a money problem. Right now it seems to be a lot more of a money problem, whether it's a landlord with a troubled tenant that they can't get out, or someone that's lost their job and they understand that, hey, they need to move, sell their house. So the leads and the inquiries, and of trying to figure out, what the home selling processes look like, that has definitely gone up a lot. Through a lot of our different ads, TV, people see us on TV, like, okay, all right, let's call. So that's definitely happened. But the biggest thing now is, we want to get that conversion, but you also want to qualify what exactly is coming in. So because when those leads are coming in, sometimes, the numbers where they're at, sellers are more so thinking retail prices because they have also done their homework. They kind of know what things are going on in the neighborhood, but they don't want to necessarily deal with the hassle, of walkthroughs and things like that with the COVID and things like that. So, so people, a lot of times what I'm noticing is that people are calling in, but they still want market price without market walkthroughs. So, that's what's been kind of going on.
Yeah. And that's that second piece of that. So the leads are coming in, people are calling, your phone's ringing and stuff like that. If you're in this business, if you're doing any kind of lead generation, you probably have some leads coming in. It may be higher than what it usually is, even in this area or in this time. I think it's going to be getting even worse. Yeah. Worse or better, however you look at it. Better right. For the fact that you have leads coming in. For people, that's just like times are getting tougher and some things are coming up. So people are going to need to sell their homes to get out of that situation. And hopefully us and a lot of other wholesalers out there can help them out in those situations. But so that second piece of what Ronnie just kind of mentioned is you have a lot of people that are calling in, so your phone's ringing and stuff like that, but they're expecting retail price. They know that the market is hot. They know that the inventory is low across the nation. So they want, a higher dollar amount. So you see some of those conversions are down. So leads are up, conversions are down. That's what we're kind of talking about today, because it comes into basically the fact of inventory is low, the market is hot, so people want that top dollar for their property. So a couple different reasons kind of why that is. Kind of just looking at some data points and some different things that we've just kind of been having conversations with other people throughout the nation and stuff. Really, we're in a time where the urgency is a little bit different. So than what it usually is. So that person that's calling you right now that wants a certain price, they might be stuck on that price. They might be asking more than what they usually would. In the past, you've been able to reason with them. Okay, hey, listen, I know you want $100,000 for this property because the one beside you just sold for 105, but it was just remodeled. It was, had this done to it, this done to it. This is what's going on to your property, and you'll be able to reason with them. You'll be able to talk them down. Or the urgency is like, hey, I know you need to get out of here within a month, so here's your situation. We can work with this. Right now, that urgency that has always been there isn't there right now. So no, they're not being foreclosed on right now. They still they're kind of in that phase of we don't know really what's going on with the forbearance. There's some of them, they're going to come due, and we'll see what's going to happen with that. But or even the tenants, there's no rush on the eviction thing. So some people that's kind of up in the air and stuff. But so that urgency that we usually see with the home sellers is not necessarily there like it usually is. Mm-hmm. They know that they can wait it out. So they're kind of like, hey, I don't have to take your price right now because I know it's a little bit lower. We'll wait and see what happens next month. We'll see if I'm going to get kicked out next month, and then it'll become a little bit more urgent. So in that vein too, and we'll kind of dig into that a little bit more, but I had that, just this thought popped in my head. But a big reason with this is what we've kind of seen on the sale or on the buy side when we're buying properties. There's a lot more liens than usual on some of these properties that are coming up. So a lot of homeowners, they're expecting this price, they expect to be out of it. By the time they're closing, they actually, oh, okay, wait, you actually owe this amount because this is tacked on to what you owe. So that's a whole other thing, and that's going to be a huge issue with wholesaling. I know we're going to end up doing a webinar on that a couple of weeks down the road once all this even comes more and more out. But Ronnie, let's jump back into that of just those sellers that right now they're asking higher prices. They're waiting things out. They're kind of seeing what's going on. So when you're out there, you're talking to the sellers, you're having those conversations. How has that changed over the past of where that urgency was? You could pick up on that urgency, you could hear it, but just how that's changed now to where that oh man, I have to connect with them in a certain way. I have to kind of get that pain point a little quicker because they don't seem as urgent as usual.
Yeah. Now what I've been doing is I've definitely want them to like me, but also to just trying to partner with them in the problem solving process. There was a house recently that I went to, did the walkthrough, made the offer. The seller said, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good offer. But then, she said, hey, but I have a couple of other appointments, that I want to see. I said, okay. I said, I understand that, but we'll kind of walk through that process, and she actually told me, because she liked me, who was coming, and then I said, okay. I said, I'm familiar with them, saying they're good guys and things like that. So that was good. But then she called me back about the next day, and she said, hey, I got an offer $30,000 more than, what I had offered. And I said, objectively, that's a great offer. I didn't lie to her. That's a great offer. I said, but I said, the thing is this though, what type of offer is it? Are they going to be able to close? Do you know what's going on with that? Then she kind of figured out it was a seller finance deal. And she was like, no, I need to close quick. I need to close fast. So I'm going to take your offer. But, what happened in that is that we were able to build a rapport. We were able to problem solve together. She trusted me enough to be able to bring some of the questions that she had about other things, to me. We were able to work through that, in order to help with that conversion. I mean, honestly, if you offer me $30,000 more, then I'm going to take it. So, it kind of made her feel, it kind of built trust in her to say, oh no, we're looking at the same information together. No, you should take this offer. So that built trust for her. When things turned, then she was able to come back and say, no, I'm going to go with you because we've built trust and able to build that conversion that way. So that was definitely, very key.
So that's a big thing. I think that's one of the biggest things out there when you're worried about your conversion rate of being able to convert those leads into contracts. the biggest thing is, how are you educating your sellers?
Right.
Something we always talk about, we always review. Ronnie and I have that conversation at least once a week on what we're doing to helping educate our sellers. What he just mentioned right there, like, hey, I know that you need cash, right now because you're in this situation. Is that what that other buyer is going to give you? Is that what that is? So making sure you're educating them on, like, hey, what is that pain point? Okay, here's what this means for you. Here's what other, I know that, other wholesalers they're going to offer you this. They're going to be able to do this. Making sure that what that you're educating them on is what they need. Making sure that you can provide that solution for what it is. And if you can't, can you connect them with somebody else? Can you help them out in that way? Maybe, not every deal is a deal for you or something like that. Maybe you connect them with somebody else that can help them out. And that's something that's going to help your reputation. That's something to always keep in mind. But one of those things, when coming back to that of like, what are you doing to educate your sellers? So Ronnie, let's talk into that, because I know you do a great job of this. This is something that I consider you better than me at this when it comes to this and stuff. So when you're sitting down and you're talking to that seller and you have those initial conversations and stuff, what are some things that you're doing to educate them on kind of just the process of, like, what does it mean to wholesale a property? What does it mean to, hey, I'm going to get your property under contract. I might buy it, or one of my partners might buy it. So what are you doing to kind of help them and ease their mind when it comes to those conversations?
Yeah. So, I mean, this recently happened with a property in Greenwood. The seller, this was literally her first time ever selling the house, and so she's like, I just saw you on TV, on the call. And so, one of the things that I did is I literally walked her through the entire process. I said, this is what we're going to do. This is step one. This is step two. This is step three. We're going to talk about our property, talk about your situation, talk about what it is that you need. And then we're also going to, I'm going to give you a call back to see if things make sense. I'm going to set this appointment. The appointment's only going to last 6 or 7 minutes, but I'm saying at the front end, knowing it might last 10 or 20, depending on what's going on. And then just making sure that she understands every nook and cranny of what's going on. Then once, I was at the appointment, I told her, hey, I'm going to call you back with an offer. Should you accept, these are the sequences of events that's going to happen. Again, just educating her on exactly what is going on, because the more that you arm them with that information, when they see those things that you say happen, what does it do? Build trust. Like, oh, he told me this was going to happen. The email said this. Okay, great. I got a call from such and such title company. All of this, all this makes sense. Now, a hiccup happened because this seller started to is in the process of buying another house, and they were trying to move title companies and things like that. So that got kind of weird, but I was able to call her, give her information saying, hey, based on the timeline that we have, this title company which we already contracted, they're already taking care of things. It's going to allow us to still close sooner, as we talked about. So she was like, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. You did tell me that. So, we're going to go ahead and be able to move forward without having to switch title companies. Again, just trying to be as giving the information in a way that they can receive it. Simple, smart information. And then also simple, smart steps. So then they can, kind of trace their information and trace their history with you. Very key in keeping the seller on the hook, so to speak.
Yeah. No, that's great stuff. And I think another big thing is too, when it comes down to educating educating the sellers too, you want to make sure you're educating them on who you are, what your business is, and what, that's what really makes that relationship go strong. Is they want to have faith in you. They want to have faith in you that you're going to close, that you can close, that you're going to help them out, help them get out of that situation. So you want to make sure that you're doing something to helping them educate them on who you are. So do you have some leave behinds? Do you have a credibility packet that you can leave? A folder that has, hey, here's about our company, here's this, or hey, here's my Facebook page. If you need to go and like find out more about me, you can go to my Facebook page and figure out what I do. Or I have a website, I have a landing page that you can go to. Or like I said, you have a pamphlet, you have something else that you can leave behind, or something that they can see of who you are. Hey, do you have any references? Do you have recommendation or people that recommend you? Those types of things. I think those go a long way. So educating them on like, hey, this is what I do each and every day. If you're a little newer and you don't have that yet, do you have one thing? Do you have one case study that you can kind of write down so they can show them like, hey, I've done this before? Or if you're brand new and do you have a mentor? Hey, my mentor, this is I've been trained by my mentor. He's done this and things like that. So I'm working with him. Whoever that is, that's a good thing. Letting them know that like, hey, I'm not just doing this on a whim. I'm not kind of just getting this out. So helping to educate your sellers on that, I think, goes a long way as well. So so credibility packets are huge. Having something to leave behind too. I like just a branding, making sure that you have something you can leave behind. Had one of our peers the other day. I was in a meeting with him, and he said he walked into a house and just saw one of our magnets on their refrigerator. He's like, oh crap, Simple's been here, and they're going to get the deal. But knowing that, having something to leave behind, it's a good thing to do. So, and little things too of like what are your sellers going to have? There's a lot of cheap little things that are branding that you can leave behind to help out that, little, whether it's bottle openers or koozies or magnets or just little trinkets that is something. Pins are good, especially people are burning through pins right now. So that's a great one to do. So, so Ronnie, let's get back into a little bit of one of the things I want to talk about too is just that conversions are a little bit lower now because it's very competitive. Number one. So from the wholesaling standpoint, there's a lot of competition from other wholesalers, whether it's in your city or they're virtual or whatever it is. But also the market is so hot that sellers don't have to necessarily just sell. They can put it right on the market and buy it as is. Investors are looking on there each and every day. So those types of things. So they're not just competing against the other wholesalers right now. They're also competing against the market because it is so hot and the inventory is so low. So I think it's really important when you're dealing with all that competitiveness. You've talked about, hey, being their friend, being friendly with them, that they like you. We've talked about the credibility packet to let them know who you are, educating through the process, but also there's that piece of just like, what is that one thing that you can do, or what is that one thing that you can offer that nobody else can? Maybe there are other people that are doing it or whatever, but making sure that you kind of, emphasize that. So an example of this is something that we do, and this is who we are as a company. We're a Christian company. Is we love to pray with our sellers. We love to know what they need prayer for, whether we're praying with them on the spot or praying with them or praying over them later the week in a team meeting, or even just reaching out to them after you talk to them. Be like, hey, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask. Is there anything I've been praying about you for, or following up with any of that stuff? That's something that we do as a company. That's an each and every day thing, but that's something that sets us apart from a lot of other people. There are a lot of great organizations out there doing some amazing things, and sometimes they can provide something that we can't, or maybe we can provide something that they can't. So what's the one thing that sets you apart from all of them? Thinking about that and really emphasizing that when you're talking to them and stuff. So and that's, like I said, that's kind of our thing. But Ronnie, when it comes down to kind of that one thing, like I said, ours is kind of that praying with them, praying over them, things like that. How does that translate out there when you're in the field and you have that conversation of like, or how many times does it even come up of like, hey, because I was, I prayed with you in the field, or because you prayed with me, like I called you the next day, or you get that call back later on that week and say, you know what, there is something you can pray about me for. And like, how does that translate, man?
Oh no, that translates hugely because, but again, it builds that trust. You want it's a branding thing, it's an identifying thing, but then also too, it's something that you don't have to fake because it's innate in you, in your company, in your creed, and things like that. And so it's huge. There's one seller that I know when we first got the first phone call. She was speaking in tongues, and we were, and so we had prayer there because it was, demons in her house, and so we were showing up literally as the demon Ghostbuster.
I like buying houses with demons, man.
Right. So then when I got to the door, she greeted me at the door. She's like, "Oh, I know you the man of God." So we prayed at the beginning before I even did the walkthrough. After the walkthrough, we prayed then too. And so, but again, it was something that she felt comfort in and identified her and identified us, made us different. It was another seller. She was going through a really bad situation, with her ex, and he tried to change some paperwork, to try to steal the property from up under her, but I told her there, I said, I really hate that it's happening. Understand that I'm praying for your situation, and praying that you have peace through all of this, and so we were able to come together, get everything fixed. And then she sent the letter, saying, hey, thank you so much. Those things are really big, those big receipts, and all the things we do, because you guys know we're on the phone getting cussed out. And, why you go out? But to be able to get those things, those receipts of good interactions, those go a long way, not just for the seller, but also for you, to reassure you that you're doing the right thing. You're in this thing for the right reason. So, it makes those FU calls go all the way off the board because you don't even care about it anymore, because you know that you genuinely help someone by, having that one thing that sticks out, whether it's honesty, integrity, whether you wear green, whatever it is, what I'm saying, that one thing that the seller can connect with, it goes a very, very, very long way into helping convert that lead to a purchase agreement.
Yeah. One other thing, and just always keep in mind too, and it's a lot of the the calls that I go on, or all talking to people with their homes and stuff like that. I think a big thing is, like, a lot of times I think a lot of guys just go right out, guys, girls, wholesalers go out and they're basically just like get to the door and be like, all right, I need to walk through your house. I need to, get my pictures. A lot of times, like, make sure you have that conversation with these people too. Like, hey, before, I'd love to check out your house, but before, like, can we just sit down? I'd love to just talk to you. I'd like to get to know you a little bit. Do you have time for that? A lot of the times in these situations, and from like phone calls, from text, or from just interactions, a lot of times they just want somebody to talk to.
That's it.
Like, sometimes by spending that extra half hour, 45 minutes, hour of by listening to them, that gets you to the sale sometimes.
Yep.
You weigh that out, and it's a fine line, but sometimes that's what's going to get you the sale and stuff.
Yeah,
that's something to keep that in mind. So
it's very important. I want to dig back on that, because one of the things that I do, and I feel this is very important to do, is when I show up at the appointment, yes, I'm greeting myself, make sure, but I'm also rehashing and reviewing the conversation that we had on the phone, just to make sure that I have all of the facts there. And then I'm also taking those time to maybe dig a little deeper to some of those questions and things and connect, whether it's a kid running around, with Pampers or something, just trying to find that commonality to connect again. And then also to make sure we have the same information. It tells the seller that you're listening, and that you paid attention the first time, which does what? Build trust. And that's what you really want to do in this day and age.
Yeah. So one other thing I want to talk about, I got two more things on our thing before we get out of here today. So one of those is, though, with leads being so high, and if your conversions are down a little bit, one thing I want you to take a look at, one thing I want you to analyze is, are you spending the time where you need to be? So are you qualifying the leads the right way? So this is something we've had to reevaluate, especially kind of going through, all this COVID stuff with where we are now. Are we spending time on the right leads? So are they getting qualified the right way? There's no sense of Ronnie's, driving a half hour out to check out a property and doing a walkthrough if it's something that we're not going to buy anyway. So make sure it's something that spend the time on the front end of analyzing, asking the right questions, figuring out. You're going to have those people of like, just come out and look at it. Okay, I will. But you can still do homework on the back end of like, hey, does this even make sense? Is this a neighborhood that I have any buyers for? Does this, at least can I get a price point out? Any of those things of doing anything to analyze, because then a lot of times too, just having that phone call of like, hey, listen, I'm sorry, this is not something we're gonna pursue. It's not something that's in our buy box. So I'm not gonna go on this walkthrough. You can cancel later. Set up the walkthrough, kind of do what you can, do your homework. And then you can figure out that walkthrough on the back end and stuff. But making sure that you're qualifying everything before, making sure you're spending time on the right stuff, I guess. So, Ronnie, when we're talking about that, just within our team too, of just kind of how we just reevaluate that and stuff, of being able to qualify those leads before we go on the walkthrough, how much time that's kind of saved you from those unnecessary runs.
Oh, it saves a ton of time, because one of the biggest things is that you need to kind of know your buying history in an area, and if you don't have a buying history, just kind of figure out where you think you might be. And kind of running it past the seller, trying to figure out, okay, hey, does it even make sense to you? Where are we at? I'm just kind of throwing out some elementary numbers, just to see, what the seller thinks, kind of get that feedback, to kind of, again, vet, does it make sense? And then again, ask yourself internally those two simple questions. You've talked to the seller. The motivation question do they have a house problem? Do they have a money problem? They don't have either one of those. They're kind of kicking tires. Okay, well, then if they're kicking tires, then let's just not do that, and encourage them to go list, with the realtor. And you can have that conversation. I talked with the seller. I'm talking with another wholesaler that said, hey, I'm talking with this guy. He's, he has, 50 properties, and he seems like he wants to buy more. I said, if he wants to buy more, he's not ready to take a cash offer discount, because he's a vetted investor. He knows the game. So let's not spend our time here. Let's spend it somewhere else. With someone who might be more motivated. Yeah.
So no, awesome stuff, Ronnie. I really appreciate that, man. And I think one of those last things that we want to talk about today is really just, with those conversions down, of just like, what is your buy box? So knowing what your buy box is, and do you have to reevaluate the prices that you want to get things under contract in certain areas? So our typical wholesale stuff of what we love to do, like typical thing is we would love to buy properties or get properties under contract in between, 55 and 65%, and then be able to sell them to our investors right around 70%, maybe up to 75. And some of that's been a little bit expanded to where, hey, the market is hot in Indianapolis right now. People are buying stuff a little bit more. So you might be able to sell things at 75% on the dollar, 80 cents on the dollar, up to 85, stuff like that. If people want it in a certain area, it's a hot property and things like that, people are going to pay a little bit more. So is it worth your contract or worth your fee or worth your buy price or anything to get something at a proper or under contract a little bit higher than what you usually would? So I think always reevaluating your numbers, recalculating those, I think is always important. And that's kind of a time that you need to make sure you're doing that. So I know we've lost out on a couple of deals because we wanted to stick to our price and stuff like that, and we felt comfortable with that. But it's like, hey, we need to reevaluate. Can we go a little bit higher here? Can we do this here? In some of those cases, we probably should have done it a little bit earlier, but you got to make sure that you're staying within your parameters. But it's time to reevaluate that stuff to make sure you can convert on those when you need to. So, Ronnie, just any thoughts on that, man?
Oh no, definitely. I mean, I can think back to two deals that I missed by $700. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just like, man, I mean, these are really good deals. But we were just we knew the market, but we just still trying to kind of be conservative. And those are times where I kind of kick myself like, we should have went ahead and just went up and did that. But it's okay, because this is a business where you get the opportunity to learn again tomorrow or the next phone call. So just definitely just be aware of what's going on. Even take into account with some of these tenant occupied properties of things that are going on legally. How you're going to approach that. Do you need to dial down some things as opposed to maybe pushing it up, because now you have different risk and things like that. So just always being aware of what's going on. Knowing your numbers and being able to adjust and be flexible where you need to be, because it's so competitive right now. That's okay. I mean, if you just maybe make a $2,500 where you think your numbers might be, play with it, $2,500 more just to kind of see what happens. That's pretty safe.
Yeah, and make sure you're just always updating your buyer's criteria on knowing what you can pay for them in certain areas, knowing what they. Hey, if I pick up an occupied property, are you willing to do cash for keys? Are you willing to wait out an eviction? Are you okay with that? Or, hey, are you, I'm having trouble getting properties under contract for this price in this area. Are you able to go up another 5,000, 10,000? Where are you at? Those types of things. So always updating your buyer's criteria was always going to help you out with those type of stuff. So awesome, man. Ronnie, any last thoughts or any last words of wisdom, my man?
Enjoy the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, it's been a good one. It's been a good one so far. So I'm going to miss the Utah-Denver series, but we got some good ones coming up. So awesome. Great stuff. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let us know if you want us to cover any topics in future webinar Wednesdays. And with that, we will see you next Wednesday. Take care, everybody.